Mutated animals of the Chernobyl exclusion zone. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most intriguing and mysterious places on Earth, the Chernobyl exclusion zone. Ever wondered what happens when humans abandon a place and nature takes over? Well, stick around, because it's a wild story, literally. So, quick history lesson for those who might not know. On April 26, 1986, a catastrophic event unfolded at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine. Reactor number 4 exploded during a safety test gone wrong, releasing massive amounts of radioactive material into the atmosphere. The surrounding towns were evacuated, and a 30-kilometer exclusion zone was established. Basically, humans packed up and left in a hurry. But here's where it gets really interesting. Despite the high radiation levels, life didn't just stop. In fact, wildlife has not only survived but thrived in this abandoned landscape. Today, we're exploring how radiation has impacted the animals of Chernobyl and uncovering the truth about the so-called mutated creatures roaming the area. Ready to bust some myths and see nature's resilience firsthand? Let's get into it. The Chernobyl disaster, a brief overview. First off, what exactly happened that night? The explosion at reactor number 4 was the result of a flawed reactor design coupled with serious mistakes made by the plant operators. During a late-night safety test, things spiraled out of control, leading to an explosion that blew the roof off the reactor. Radioactive particles were spewed into the sky, and the fire that followed burned for 10 days. Talk about a chain reaction. In the immediate aftermath, over 100,000 people were evacuated from nearby towns like Pripyat. Can you imagine having to leave your home forever with just a moment's notice? The area was deemed uninhabitable due to dangerous levels of radiation. Thus, the exclusion zone was born, a 30-kilometer radius of "do not enter." The environment took a massive hit. Radioactive isotopes like cesium-137 and iodine-131 contaminated the soil, water, and air. These substances have super long half-lives, meaning they'll be around for decades, even centuries. The ecosystem was, quite literally, glowing with radiation. But how did this affect life in the area? Let's find out. The exclusion zone today. Fast forward over 30 years, and the exclusion zone has transformed into something truly unexpected. With humans out of the picture, nature has reclaimed the space in a big way. Buildings are overrun with foliage, streets have become forests, and wildlife roams where people once shopped and played. It's like a real-life, I Am Legend, but without the zombies. What's really fascinating is the comeback of various animal species. We're talking wolves, bears, lynx, and even the rare Przewalski horses. Yes, you heard that right, wild horses are galloping through the ghost towns of Chernobyl. The absence of humans has allowed these animals to flourish. Scientists consider the exclusion zone a living laboratory. It's a unique, albeit accidental, opportunity to study how radiation affects ecosystems over the long term. Researchers from all over the world are keeping a close eye on this unplanned experiment. Pretty wild stuff, huh? Radiation and its biological effects. Alright, time to get a bit science-y, but don't worry, we'll keep it chill. Radiation comes in various forms: alpha particles, beta particles, and gamma rays. When living organisms are exposed to high levels of radiation, it can damage cells by breaking DNA strands. This damage can lead to mutations, which brings us to our next point. So, what's a mutation anyway? In simple terms, it's a change in the DNA sequence of an organism. There are two main types: somatic mutations, which occur in non-reproductive cells and aren't passed to offspring, and germline mutations, which occur in reproductive cells and can be inherited by the next generation. The impact of radiation depends on several factors: the dose, how much radiation, the duration of exposure, how long, and the organism's sensitivity. Some species are surprisingly hardy against radiation, while others are more susceptible. It's a complex mix that scientists are still trying to fully understand. Flora, the foundation of the ecosystem. Let's start with plants, the unsung heroes of any ecosystem. In the immediate aftermath of the disaster, vegetation in the highly contaminated areas died off en masse. The red forest near the reactor got its name because the pine trees turned a reddish color before dying. It was a grim sight. But guess what? Plants are incredibly resilient. Over time, they started to come back. Some showed mutations like twisted branches, weirdly shaped leaves, or growth anomalies. There's also this fascinating phenomenon of radiotrophic fungi that actually absorbs radiation and uses it to grow. Talk about adaptation. These plant mutations have ripple effects throughout the ecosystem. For instance, herbivores munching on these plants might ingest radionuclides, which can affect their health. Changes in plant diversity and health also impact soil quality and the overall stability of the habitat. It's all interconnected. Insect and invertebrate mutations. Insects are like the Earth's first responders when it comes to environmental changes. They have short life cycles and reproduce quickly, so any genetic changes become apparent fast. They're great indicators of ecological health. Researchers have noticed some insects with physical deformities, like misshapen antennae, deformed wings, or unusual coloration. There have also been behavioral changes, such as altered mating calls or changes in activity patterns. It's like they're trying to adapt on the fly, pun intended. Interestingly, some insect populations have decreased, while others have boomed. This imbalance can affect pollination, critical for plant reproduction, and decomposition processes, which are vital for nutrient cycling in the ecosystem. Aquatic life, rivers and lakes. Let's not forget about the rivers and lakes. Radionuclides leached into water bodies, contaminating aquatic ecosystems. Water doesn't stay in one place, so the contamination spread beyond the immediate area. Fish exposed to radiation have shown various mutations. Some exhibit stunted growth, while others grow larger than usual. There are reports of reproductive issues, like reduced fertility or offspring that don't survive. However, these changes aren't as dramatic as you might think. No three-eyed fish like in The Simpsons. Amphibians like frogs and toads have exhibited limb deformities and skin abnormalities. Interestingly, some salamander species seem to have a higher resistance to radiation. Nature throws curveballs like that, reminding us how much we still have to learn. Avian species. The birds of Chernobyl. Birds are another group that scientists are closely monitoring. They're easy to study and are good indicators of environmental health. Plus, who doesn't love birdwatching? Some birds in the exclusion zone have developed partial albinism, resulting in feathers with unusual coloration. Others have shown reduced brain sizes, which can impact their problem-solving abilities and survival skills. It's like Mother Nature is conducting her own experiment. But here's the silver lining. Some bird species have ramped up their production of antioxidants to combat the damaging effects of radiation. Others have altered their migratory habits, either avoiding the area or, interestingly enough, nesting there due to reduced human disturbance. Mammals roaming the exclusion zone. Now on to the big guys. Mammals like wolves, boars, deer, and even bears have made the exclusion zone their home. The Przewalski horses, once on the brink of extinction, were introduced to the area and are thriving. It's like a wildlife renaissance. Studies on these mammals show mixed results. Some have higher mutation rates, but overall, they seem to be doing well. Their lifespans and reproductive rates are comparable to those in non-contaminated areas. It's a testament to the resilience of life. These animals play crucial roles in maintaining the balance of the ecosystem. Predators control the populations of herbivores, which in turn affects vegetation growth. It's a delicate dance that keeps the environment in check. Myth versus reality. Debunking exaggerations. Thanks to movies, video games, and urban legends, many people think Chernobyl is teeming with monstrous, mutated creatures, giant insects, two-headed wolves, you name it. It's great for a horror flick, but what's the real deal? The reality is far less dramatic. While mutations exist, they are mostly subtle and not the grotesque anomalies portrayed in media. No Godzilla-sized animals or zombie deer here. The changes are often at the cellular or genetic level. Spreading accurate information is crucial. It helps us understand the true impact of radiation on ecosystems and prevents unnecessary fear. Plus, it highlights the incredible adaptability and resilience of nature, which is a much more inspiring story, don't you think? Conservation and research efforts. Scientists from around the globe are collaborating to study Chernobyl's exclusion zone. It's a unique case study that could teach us valuable lessons about radiation, ecology, and even how to handle future nuclear incidents. There's even talk of turning the area into an official wildlife reserve. It would protect the flourishing animal populations and allow for ongoing research while keeping human exposure to radiation at a minimum. A pretty cool idea, right? Ultimately, Chernobyl teaches us about the resilience of life and the consequences of nuclear accidents. It's a sobering reminder of our impact on the environment but also a hopeful sign of nature's ability to heal. Reflecting on the journey. So there you have it, a deep dive into the mutated animals of Chernobyl. While radiation has certainly left its mark, the mutations aren't the sci-fi nightmares we might have imagined. Instead, we see a complex tapestry of life adapting and surviving against the odds. Nature is nothing if not persistent. The exclusion zone has become a symbol of resilience, showing us that life finds a way, even in the most challenging conditions. It's both humbling and inspiring. As we reflect on Chernobyl's legacy, let's remember the importance of responsible environmental stewardship. Our actions have far-reaching consequences, but we also have the power to make positive changes. Thanks for joining me on this journey. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more explorations of our amazing world. Until next time, stay curious and stay awesome.